This is a character analysis and diagnosis of Patrick Bateman in the movie American Psycho by Allie, Ben, Garrett, and Katie. This movie takes place in the 1980s in New York when the main character, Patrick Bateman, is shown to be a Wall Street banker who surrounds himself with wealthy associates and is very concerned with his appearances. However, he's very unhappy and seems without emotion in his everyday life. He often kills people and has several delusions, ultimately to the point where he's not even sure if he's killed certain people or not. The diagnosing part was very hard because it requires us to evaluate what actually happened. However, since we're seeing this movie in Bateman's perspective, we can find that he's often delusional, and so it's hard to tell what's reality and not. For the purposes of diagnosing him, we're going to assume that Paul Allen's murder was all in his head. Following with that, he then displays three major disorders: narcissistic personality disorder, schizophrenia, and antisocial personality disorder. The evidence for his narcissistic personality disorder comes from his egocentric thinking. He cares a lot about his appearance, and he wants to make sure everyone knows that he has the best stuff, whether it be comparing business cards or apartments. He wants to make sure that other people know he's rich and is pretty great in his point of view. He makes sure the hookers he brings to his apartment notice how expensive the room is or how expensive the wine is. Not only that, but when having sex that's supposed to be emotional and intimate, he watches himself in the mirror. He's obsessed with himself. He also shows symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. He has strong lack of remorse and empathy. He continually kills people throughout the movie, but doesn't have any guilt about it. Not only that, but when canceling plans or breaking up with his fiancée, he lacks to provide excuses or reasoning. He usually just says no, and that's it. Lastly, Bateman shows many symptoms for schizophrenia, whether it be hallucinations, delusions, social withdrawal, and he also seeks out different social situations to meet new people and find potential victims. Some of these hallucinations come from when he sees the ATM flash and the message, "Feed me a stray cat," while us in the real world knows that an ATM would never show this. Bateman constantly makes plans and goes out to dinner with their friends. In fact, most of the movie is based around him just meeting new people, and sometimes meeting the new people is to kill them, like the woman in the beginning of the movie, where it can only be assumed he murdered her later that night. When treating these three disorders, we have to break it down between personality disorders and schizophrenia. For the personality disorders, cognitive behavioral therapy would be best for treating the narcissism and antisocial disorders. The cognitive would be focusing on changing his destructive thinking and instilling empathy and less selfish thinking, while the behavioral portion will focus on his homicidal behaviors and finding another input for his aggression instead of killing people. The therapist would act on instilling empathy and replacing these behaviors. Bateman's role within all of this is to be intelligent, verbal, and willing to change. While throughout the movie we can obviously he is intelligent and very verbal, the willingness to change would be hard due to his narcissism. It may be hard for him to address his underlying issues that are causing his homicidal behavior, and he may not be willing to change it. When treating schizophrenia, you want to consider biomedical treatments. These drugs can help fix the chemical imbalance in his brain. This can help him distinguish fantasy and reality, and once those two are differentiated and he knows the reality, it may be easier to replace those homicidal behaviors and help the therapist out. This requires Bateman to be patient, however, because drug therapies can take time before showing results. This may be hard for Bateman because he's used to living in the fast-paced culture of Wall Street elite. Ultimately, with all three diagnoses given to Patrick Bateman, he displays perfectly narcissism, antisocial disorder, and schizophrenia. He's unemotional, has fits of aggression, he has delusions of small and grandeur. The film, however, influences our thinking of these disorders. Bateman is a very big over-exaggeration of aggression. He kills people almost nightly. However, that's not very common in the real world. While they can have bouts of aggression, they're not all murderers. So it is important for us as the viewers to differentiate what really is the disorder and what's Hollywood having fun. Thank you.